gleaming from the sacred fires of God's own heart, there is poured forth throughout the universe the radiance of a perfect design. This design is to be found manifest in the blueprint level in all life, and there is no imperfect creation in existence anywhere upon this blessed planet, or in this system of worlds, or throughout the cosmos, for all comes forth in absolute purity from the great heart of God. Ye are that perfect creation, and all that appears less than this perfection is but a miasma, a chimera in the minds of men, who, abiding in a self-imposed deceit, are unaware that this is but a dream of imperfection which appears about them, which must pass away as a mist before the rising sun of their own great divine identity, as it floods forth to dissipate all energies which are less than the perfect diamond shining mind of God, cupped as within a dewdrop rare. O beloved ones, I am the great silent watcher, and I am come to speak of these things that abide in the mind of God. I am come to speak of these thoughts and perceptions of all that shall avail itself of the screen of life, projected into a future so wonderful to contemplate as to cause the heart to leap with joy all day, each day, and never to cease from its wondrous beating of cosmic happiness. I am come to give an awareness of that penetrating and discriminating ascended master intelligence, which is the fullness of the great law fulfilled. Passing through your consciousness hourly, this great stream of life floods forth from your mighty causal body and mighty I am presence. It is the stream that sustains your life, and yet it passes unnoticed. As ships pass in the night, so the consciousness of mankind does not apprehend the consciousness of its own holiness. Yet I am come. I am come to spread abroad, not only throughout this blessed room in Los Angeles, the city of the angels, but throughout the planetary body, those holy concepts which occupy the attention of God. Have you thought upon this idea, blessed ones, of that which occupies the attention of God? That which occupies the attention of mankind is easily perceived, for they do not even attempt to hide their infamy in this day and age, but openly do those things which brought about cataclysmic action and destruction upon other continents and past eras of civilization. Today, mankind stands at the very doorway of a wondrous dawning golden age of purity and perfection. But ere that time manifests the fullness of its great bounties for mankind, it will be necessary that the law of ascended master love shall take its fullness and power of dominion over the entire earth and establish the kingdom of God and the kingdom of Christ within the hearts of men, moving then from the hearts of men forth into an arena of cosmic action, whereby they shall overthrow all those actions which are of the human creation octave and level, and supplant them by that supreme power of adoration which is their own God, source, and self. Mankind so frequently abuse themselves that I do not choose to dwell upon it, but only to point out to you, blessed ones, that you must think of those things which occupy the attention of God. For in those things is your freedom and the freedom of every planet in this solar system and universe. The freedom of all mankind forever is anchored within the heart of the immaculate concept that God designed, which is to be found expressed in part in jewels of perfection and purity. Jewels of perfection and purity are intended to epitomize and to manifest a miniature pattern of that which each individual light stream is intended to externalize upon this glorious planet designed by God in such wonder and perfectionment. I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you are jewels in the eyes of God, and you must recognize this fact and lay aside the concept of flaw. As you have been told throughout this class, you must hold your attention upon that purity which is your life and the life of every man. Let error and dissonance cease. Let all childish toys be put aside, and those engrams and designs which are so far beneath the notice of a divine nobleman that I hesitate to draw a parallel example, for none would be fitting except to say that it is indeed, as one of your poets expressed it, the ruck of ant concern manifesting in human consciousness with all of its filthiness and degradation, which never in all eternity could be a part of the God design. I am speaking with the authority of God, for I am the great silent watcher for this earth planet. And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, ere you depart the screen of life, make it your business to ascertain just what is the specific business of your Heavenly Father and the divine plan for this earth. For I tell you that in this passing scene, which you see daily and witness as a smog of deceit passed over the human consciousness, is a tremendous, overpowering, humanly created project of difficulty, which must be itself transmuted by the great never-ceasing light of God, so that mankind will find their freedom now. Mankind cannot afford to squander their inheritance in wasting it upon riotous living. You have, blessed ones, this lifetime, but how many lifetimes before you do you suppose that you have lived upon this planetary body and played your part in those historical events which preceded the present and current hour? Ladies and gentlemen, you have played as actors in various roles upon this planetary body time and time again without obtaining your perfection. The time has come then when you lovely hearts, who have for several embodiments turned your faces toward the sun as the sunflower turns upon her God. Therefore I say to you now, remember that in a spirit of cosmic harmony, there is that cosmic spirit of unity which unites the hearts of men of good faith and goodwill the world around to obtain by religious experience those heavenly gifts and graces which the great law intends to confer upon mankind. Observe and witness the history of the manifold religions upon this planetary body. Observe also the crying voices of men in the wilderness, seeking to teach their brothers the way back to the sheepfold, and recognize that regardless of all these precious voices and the energies rising as a censer of cosmic purity to the heart of God daily, the world still abides in the shadow of self-imposed bondage and corruption, schisms and divisions, ideologies which are not based upon spirituality and human reasoning has replaced all that divinely intended spirit of illumination, which is the fullness of the Christ mind. Now then, I am come this night to unite the faithful, to draw together the hearts of men, to pledge to you the faith of the great silent watcher in the destinies which you have in cosmic union with one another. Beloved ones, let mankind seek a spirit of division. Let them seek to arbite and to be disturbed by small insignificant causes. They shall not find happiness in those disturbances, for there is only happiness in cosmic unity, and cosmic unity must be brought about first by union with the Divine One, and then the outer field of cosmic unity in physical manifestation will be a naturally following process, which will unite the hearts of the faithful and present a united front unto mankind. What do you think, beloved ones, presents itself to the wandering eyes of a child seeker for more light? What do you think presents itself to a seeker who finds one specific outlet of spiritual knowledge, whose heart beats with cherished hope and happiness when finding that one outlet, only to find that it asserts itself as the only outlet of salvation, and that it has no room in the inn of its being for consideration for others upon the screen of life? I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, many a child seeker for light and spiritual guidance has been turned away, as they turned away the beloved Mother Mary and Joseph from the inn and placed them in the stable. I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, many a child seeker has been turned to the stables and has not been able, as Mary did, to bring forth the Christ child in the stables, but has fallen upon the hay and lain there in the discord, living an animal existence without realization of the great potential existent and resident within their own beating heart. I am come this night to awaken the mankind of earth and every potential state that is in this room. I would like to point out to you that there are several beings in this room that are potential ascended masters. They are timbers for the ascended masters to use, and there is but a little cosmic action required before they shall transmute the final vestige of their human creation. That is enough sufficient for the great cosmic law to rush in and fulfill their cosmic destiny by drawing them forth into the great cosmic light, permitting the great divine director to direct the mighty light ray of cosmic attunement into the heart of their being, into the chalice of their consciousness, and to exalt within them the fullness of the radiance that is their own God presence. Then there shall come forth the man-child that shall rule the earth with a rod of iron. This mighty cosmic being that is the real you shall be emancipated from the house of clay, and the Holy Spirit shall take its great cosmic victory in an individual force field. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a cosmic manifestation you are now witnessing, for I am coming in the fullness of cosmic manifestation to reveal the great God design that is the heart purpose of every individual life stream, a shining jewel of blueprint perfection for each life stream, the perfection of God, the immaculate concept from his blessed heart, which is blazing forth the fullness of your God identity into the ethers as I am speaking to you now. Oh, blessed ones, I am about now to invoke the angelic host for a specific purpose, for I came forth this night from the great cosmic light for a specific purpose on behalf of the city of the angels. Too long has human discord held sway in this city, and the smog of human deceit and conceit, the false ideas of individuals who fancy themselves to be the epitome of cosmic election without having the specific God-ordained momentum of service, must be transmuted, and in its place cosmic harmony must stand forth. I am very grateful then to tell you that there are magnificent beings present in this room tonight, beings that have long served the cause of cosmic freedom, And they are not all from this activity, but from a number of activities and avenues of service. These beings that have long served the heart of God have united tonight to form a great pathway of light from the heart of beloved Sanat Kumara unto this very force field, and the angelic hosts are pouring currents of transcendent light substance into this room in order to transmute as much of the human karma of those individuals sitting within this force field as the great cosmic law will allow. I am the great silent watcher, and I am charging the vibratory action of the Holy Spirit into the force field of this room in order to awaken and quicken the consciousness of mankind, that by this great blessing outpoured now, you may receive from God's own heart that which He intends you to be forever and forever and forever. I am telling you then that as I call forth the powers of light from on high and invoke the presence of the angelic host to build a great pathway of light from on high, you will see with spiritual eyes the tremendous power that I am invoking on behalf of mankind in order to establish over this city a force field that shall make of it a true city of the angels. St. Germain promised you that before this class begun, that an unprecedented action of the great cosmic light would come forth. And I am here to tell you tonight that it is being done now. This very specific moment, there is being fulfilled the prediction of that great and magnificent, beloved God of freedom, your own beloved St. Germain. I am amazed, however, that you have not arisen to your feet to pay tribute to St. Germain at the mere mention of his name. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you. Won't you please be seated? The devas and builders of form have now arrived, for they require that burst of your energy tonight, which is not usual, in order to anchor within the force field of your blessed being the transcendent action of a joint endeavor on behalf of the angelic host and mankind. Now then, they are beginning the service of building around the entire circumferential area of Los Angeles a tremendous fountain of cosmic light. This fountain is an etheric fountain, but it is beautiful to behold. For, beloved ones, it is tremendously wide. It is 30 miles in diameter, and it is on the exterior surface of bright blue. There is a blue fountain rising into the upper atmosphere 1 mile high above this city. This great blue fountain is the fountain of cosmic faith, and it is filled with the vibratory action of the blessed angels of faith from Archangel Michael's band. I want to tell you that elemental life, in gratitude for your calls, has volunteered after this night to take over the specific function of the angelic host and sustain that momentum of faith for this city for a period of 100 years, or as long as the great law will permit. Beloved ones, then within a space of 1 mile, within the 30-mile range or 29 miles, there is established a beautiful golden fountain of cosmic illumination, which rises to a height of 1.5 miles into the atmosphere. Beloved ones, if you will observe now the action of the great devas and builders of form, I will describe to you that 28 miles in diameter within the center of that force field, there is builded a 2-mile-high fountain, which is a pink fountain of spiritual love charged by the angels of beloved Chamuel's band. This magnificent tripartite fountain of cosmic light will continue to blaze over the force field of Los Angeles, the city of the angels, and tonight is held and sustained by the angelic band. We have been promised, however, that it shall be fortified and sustained by the devas and builders of form of lesser magnitude in cooperation with the beloved elementals, concluding within the force field the action of the blessed salamanders, the beings of fire, the beings of water, the beings of air, and the beings of earth. This fountain is a fountain of illumination for the planetary body to create the vibratory action of a cosmic Eden in this beautiful area of light's perfection. Ladies and gentlemen, you have contributed by your energies to the building of this fountain of light, and all throughout the world may drink at this fountain. All who are athirst may freely come and imbibe of the water of spiritual faith, of spiritual illumination, and spiritual love, which is not qualified by human conquest or ideals of human conquest, but is only dominated by the spirit of victory from the heart of that magnificent cosmic being, beloved mighty victory. And now, beloved ones, as I am speaking to you, the mighty victory enters the octave of this room and is in manifestation to bring to you the feeling of his great outpouring victory of the light. I am victory, your cosmic victory, and the victory of all mankind. Mankind, in their spirit of cosmic union, will find coming out of the great eras of progress now dawning a pioneer trek as wondrous as the exodus of the children of Israel from out of the bondage of Egypt, as wonderful as the trek across the United States by the pioneers of old, and far more wonderful than aught else that has ever manifested upon this planet. I therefore urge you to recognize that we are laying the foundation stone here tonight for mankind's cosmic victory that will overcome disease, that will overcome inharmony, that will overcome discordant governments and warfares, that will overcome all that false generation by the Christ regeneration of the light. Ladies and gentlemen, won't you please be seated in the great cosmic force field? I thank you. Precious ones, now that you have heard the words of beloved victory, I shall conclude my address by telling you this, that we can supply the vibratory action of a cosmic momentum. We can give you a cosmic idea. We can speak to you of cosmic unity. It is you who must elect to pursue it and to dedicate yourself to it and to fulfill its destiny. The Christ mission of each man is fulfilled in watching not only 1 hour, but through all the hours of time, until the timeless spirit of eternal victory is manifest within your beating heart by the scientific spiritual power of Christ's victory that overcomes outer illusion and replaces all those delusions of human consciousness by the Christ-illumined mind, the reality of all existence, which is the greatest yoga of divine union ever conceived by God or man. This is done through your own mighty God self, your own I am presence, your own higher mental body or holy Christ self, and your own human in a triune spirit of cosmic Christ cooperation. This election is given to you. You must make it sure. The sure reality of life is that it exists around you as a diadem blueprint of light's perfection. This reality then in manifestation is your purpose for being, your raison d'etre, and you must hold to that you may manifest the tripartite flame of Christ's illumination, Christ's discrimination, included within this illumination, and Christ's love and Christ's goodwill to all upon earth and in heaven. I, Immaculata, by the cosmic grace bestowed upon me, and by the love I bear for every life stream, all elemental beings and the angelic hosts, place upon the forehead of all those who elect to fulfill their destiny my cosmic kiss of Christ's peace. Salutem in Christos, blessings upon you forever in his immaculate light. So be it. In God's holy name, the Deva of music salute you. Peace and grace be multiplied forever and forever and forever unto the Holy One, the I Am, life of all. I thank you and bless you and bid you in divine grace a holy, eternal good evening. May the profound radiance of your divine selves descend, and with that descent bring to your hearts an awareness that I am here, and that as I come, escorted by legions of cosmic angels, I bring to old friends and new the breathing awareness of their own divine source and the love that is able to give to all the fullness of deliverance from every evil condition, and is able to assist each life stream in finding the fullness of their divine victory. O beloved ones, the passage of human thought across the consciousness and the firmament of individuality is not always one of illumination, for the thoughts that men think are so frequently but the contagion which itself dwells within the insipid atmosphere of the planet, charged with all of the negative influences and the effluvia of human creation to which mankind unwittingly pay homage. Lift then this night your consciousness above all outer conditions of the world and those who abide in the consciousness of the world. Lift your consciousness tonight and recognize that this is a holy night. Recognize that the shining of the spiritual star in the firmament of your being are the radiant points of spiritual light, poured forth and pouring forth their mighty light rays into your waiting heart and identity, that you may absorb from those light rays a feeling of compassionate oneness with all who live upon this planetary body and all who dwell in this blessed universe. Ladies and gentlemen, the power of divine grace is sufficient for every problem which you encounter, and you need not go under or submit to outer conditions that are directed against you. You must master the lesson of being able to seize energy for yourselves by the power of the God flame within your heart, and take that energy and wrap it around about by a cloak of cosmic light substance, which possesses the power of instantaneous transmutation, so that all substance that is directed to you is transmuted on the instant as a drop of water striking the lid of a hot stove. Your consciousness must be imbued with the sacred fire. You must radiate from within your own protection against all outward conditions. As you gaze upon humanity today and recognize the many types of individuals upon this planetary body, you must not develop a sense of feeling as the Pharisee of old, that you yourself are grateful that you are not as other men. For you must bear full well in mind and consciousness that it is the power of divine grace that has elected you to a very high and noble calling, and that you yourselves, in accepting this precious calling, have ratified the divine act of grace and have sealed within your consciousness the holy will of God. Long ago, upon that holy night, when beloved Jesus came forth into manifestation, and the angelic host sang, and the shepherds kneeled in adoration, as the wise men of the East brought forth their gifts, my heart also was stirred by the fires of immortality and perfection manifest in that holy child. With what hope every mother brings forth her son. With what hope every mother brings forth her firstborn child. I ask you then, in the name of holy paternity, to bear in mind the greatest message that the Christ brought to mankind, the greatest message that has ever been revealed, the knowledge of the Heavenly Father, or your own beloved God presence, the knowledge of the spiritual law whereby mankind in a divine union passes through the sacraments of holy marriage and is wedded unto the deity. The alchemical marriage, in all of its wonder and beauty, is the transcendent yearning of every man and woman upon the planetary body. And although the negative and positive polarities may manifest in both men and women, I am certain that all recognize the word that God in the beginning created he them, male and female created he them, and therefore will recognize also that it is intended that mankind shall absorb all of the deep spirituality that is so wonderfully resident within womankind, and that womankind will absorb from mankind all of those marvelous qualities of mastery manifest in mankind, and by a balancing action of absorption find that perfect equality and spiritual balance whereby they are complete within themselves, sealed by the power of their own mighty God self, and completely wholly identified with that divine self. This does not mean, beloved ones, that life streams must walk in the universe alone. It does not mean an end to paternity or maternity for mankind. It simply means an integration of individuality with the great spiritual flaming sea of identity that is the God self of all. In this merger there is an epic of completion and accomplishment whereby mankind fulfill their immortal destiny. I ask you now to recall from the pages of history the facts that in times past, when the world was ruled primarily by monarchs and kings, select individuals were brought forth and chosen from among the people to be a king of a country. There is something very wonderful, beloved ones, in this idea of a monarchy. And although it was my desire to foster a spirit of republic in mankind and create a spirit of democracy everywhere, I would like to point out to mankind that the ideal spirit of the monarchy embodied some very wonderful concepts whereby Christ the King is enthroned in the heart of every man, and whereby the Queen of Heaven is the cosmic mother manifesting in every heart. Beloved ones, most of you at some time or another, caught up in the idea and wonder of kings and queens, have had a yearning within your own heart to be one. And this is not an inordinate desire, but it stems from the great spiritual monarchy, which is related to the very word mono, or one, whereby God enthroned in each man makes of him a king, and the Holy Mother enthroned in each mother makes of her a queen. And it was intended then that princelings and princesses should manifest upon the planetary body, not urchins of the streets that wander the streets and know not whither they are going. The ideal then of paternity based on the words Our Father is a spiritual manifestation of great power and potency that has been lost upon the present day civilization. And yet I must pay homage and credit to many among mankind who have nobly raised sons and daughters to a higher standard of life's perfection. And yet I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, in the name of heaven, can you deny that the world is filled with spiritual orphans who know not their own God identity, and they find themselves cast upon the wheel of life and know not whither they are going? It is these blessed souls, as much a part of God as you and I, that ought to be relieved of this tremendous vacuum within their consciousness, a vacuum of nothingness which causes them to desire to depart this life, finding in oblivion or imagined oblivion a better and preferred attitude than the constant boredom of everyday existence. These blessed life streams do not understand the perfection of their own divine self and the great glory which God intends to manifest upon the screen of life for them individually, else they would not have these desires. And it is up to the student body to recognize the need to call forth by the power of the spoken word in decrees, so that greater understanding descends upon this planetary body, a special fiat on behalf of those life streams, which will enable them to recognize that this life is a life filled with vibrant divine purpose for all, and that all must recognize the ladder of life and also the stairway of life as a place intended by God for them to place their foot firmly and to plant their consciousness within the heart of a spiritual haven of refuge. I tell you, those individuals who desired to leap from the Golden Gate Bridge recently in San Francisco must be given assistance by the student body so that they will understand the error of their ways, for they were spared because of the great light of the Goddess of Purity which was recently released in San Francisco, and they were seized in that almost unheard of occasion when 3 individuals at once attempted to destroy themselves from the screen of life. Life is precious, beloved ones, and to no one upon this earth did this come with greater awareness than to beloved Mother Mary, as she heard the first low cry of the Christ when Jesus drew his first breath in that embodiment so wonderfully and fearfully wrought in God's holy name. I tell you, beloved ones, the sense of spiritual hush, the awness that filled the hearts of men, the great wonder must also stimulate present-day men and women, so that they will understand whenever they gaze upon the stars above that each night is a holy night, and that God is no more absent from life upon this night or any other night than he was upon that holy night. For God was present, and the angelic host descended and accompanied the living Christ into manifestation. I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, God, whose eye is upon the sparrow, is also upon every life stream, and the words and ideas embodied in that concept must sink down deeply into the hearts of men. The drama of the ages is fulfilled in your worlds individually. For were you at this moment to find your consciousness extinguished as a flame is blown out or a shade pulled down, I tell you that life would go on both for you and for those who would be left behind. For life is not easily extinguished. Life is God, and it is a gentle radiation when manifest in a newborn child. It is no longer then charged with the turbulence of the former life, but it has come into re-embodiment once again to infuse form, to obtain another and fresh opportunity whereby the mercies of God, which endure forever, may manifest for that life stream, and the great schoolrooms of life may admit a new pupil who will thereby have a renewed opportunity to obtain freedom. But in the drama of re-embodiment, there is nothing happening that does not happen daily. For each night when you close your eyes, blessed ones, in restful slumber, you depart the scenes of this world and you are no longer in contact with your identity and your conscious awareness, but you have entered into that quality of sleep and bliss, whereby the soul, cut free from the body prison, is enabled to arise, if it can escape the coil of the mortality which is wrapped around it, and rise to a higher octave of purity, where it must and ought to absorb a greater quality of perfection from its own divine self, returning with the fresh light of the morning and the dawn, renewed and revivified, and ready to master the problems of that day that cometh forth. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenges of life are intended to be met, and to be met victoriously, and we stand ready to assist the students everywhere to meet the problems of each day. We have not departed from this earth and planetary body, and we do not intend to do so, ladies and gentlemen, in the near future, or for that matter, for hundreds of years. Regardless of what any individual may tell you, we intend to stand by the evolutions of this planetary body and to assist the individuals who are embodied here to find their freedom. And that freedom is the freedom which God intends you to have. Oh, precious ladies and gentlemen, I know how great is your love for me, and I know how great your love is for your own divine source, for I can measure it in a manner you cannot even do, and I understand how that at times you are almost overawed by the words that we blaze forth before your eyes and the thoughts that we flash to your consciousness. For while I am speaking to you now in words, I know that many of you are aware of the great spiritual charge which I am releasing into the atmosphere, which will find its way into your physical forms and will gently steal into your heart flame and into your consciousness, and will convey to that blessed consciousness an awareness of God and the spiritual hierarchy far beyond the power of words alone. And you will recognize then that my words are cups of light, and that they are charged with the vibrancy of the higher octaves and the perfection and purity which abides in those octaves. Now the angelic hosts that are with me are determined to convey a special blessing to those individuals who have attended every session held within this hall, and therefore they are going to release a mighty stream of energy to those students who were present at every session. Those who were not present at every session shall receive also a special blessing, but it cannot, according to the great cosmic law, excel that blessing which must be given to the faithful whom the angelic host desire to reward and will reward this night with a special blessing of great magnitude. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to stand now upon your feet for a moment and raise your hands to your shoulders' height, cupping them in a gentle manner while the angelic host radiate to all within this room their blessing. I wish to point out that it is not my wish to diminish that blessing for anyone, and therefore I shall balance from my life stream that which the angel shall not convey to those who were not present, to see that all receive the blessing of the light in equal proportion. This is perfectly agreeable with the hierarch of the angelic host, who is radiating to you now that divine blessing which the great law desires to confer upon your life streams for the blessings which have gone forth to the people of Los Angeles. The city of Los Angeles has been swept by a mighty wave of cosmic light, which has gone forth not only to purify the atmosphere for these classes, but also to assist by a purification of the elemental life. And therefore we caused a great downpour of rain to flash forth upon this area in a manner which has not happened for a considerable period of time, that you might recognize that not only was the outer rain pouring forth, but the latter rain of spiritual illumination which is to kindle the hearts of men with the power of their own God flame, and to sweep them into greater awareness of their own God identity. Oh, it is so easy, blessed ones, for mankind to forget their own God identity, to be immersed in a sea of troubles which encompass them around about, and to forget that the power to eliminate those troubles is within the flame within their own heart. And therefore I say, I shall now cease while you may absorb those blessings for a few moments. O gentle angels, forces of the elements, beloved Prince Aramesis, beloved Neptune, beloved Aries, and beloved Pilur, convey the blessings of the four elements to these thy children. They may recognize the power of the square and the power of the cosmic circle of spiritual illumination, that they may understand inwardly the methods of squaring the circle and obtaining their own divine identity from the four corners of the earth. Won't you please be seated? In ages past, the problems which now are current to mankind existed in various forms. The power of the spiritual light in many eras past was not nearly so great in manifestation as it is this present hour. I call to your attention the words of the beloved Jesus, "Greater things shall ye do, for I go unto my Father." I would like to point out to the students here assembled that each life stream that is given the blessing of his ascension is convoyed into the higher octaves as a God-free being and anchors for mankind yet unascended a special radiance and quality of divine love, a love extended to the planetary body from the very heart flame of the ascending one. This love then completes the fulfillment of the law uttered by the Christ, and with each addition to the ascended host, the powers of light for this planetary body are strengthened in view of the fact that there have been a multitude of ascensions since Jesus rose from Bethany's hill, including my own. I am certain you will recognize that the chorus of the heavenly hierarchy is being swelled each year, and therefore you are most fortunate, O mankind of earth, to have a greater assistance by far to cope with your problems than was ever given to this planet before. And yet, blessed ones, the problems have been multiplied manifold, and it almost requires this assistance in order for mankind today to cope with those conditions which they find abiding in human density complicated by a release of those life streams which were so discordant in the past that they were held, as it were, in a prison house, bound and not permitted to manifest upon the screen of this planet. Recently, many of these rebellious life streams have come into embodiment and have complicated conditions for mankind, making it necessary that the students of the light call forth a greater than ordinary activity of the angelic host to take up this discordant energy and purify it. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you will recognize that opportunity is given to you daily to help and assist your brothers who are here with you. I am certain as I speak to you, for I feel the vibrant fervor of your hearts, that you have a great love for the ascended host. May I compliment you on this love. Love for Cthulhu, who was St. Francis, is very blessed indeed, for it generates within you his own great awareness of spiritual humility, whereby he was able to invoke such mighty assistance for the people of Assisi and the world. He was a true instrument of peace, and each one of you may, in absorbing the vibrations of Cthulhu and of others of the ascended host, anchor within the force field of your own individual identities those self-same qualities of greatness which were anchored within his blessed heart. You need not, ladies and gentlemen, have an idea that because you have at some time or another committed some inequity, feel that you must be denied God qualities. I tell you that the Father will take every prodigal child and place the golden chain upon the neck of that child, as was told you in this past evening. And you must recognize in accepting that you are linking yourself with your highest identity. As you link yourself with your highest identity, you will find the release of great spiritual qualities coming into your own lives. You need not seek without to find the power of your own freedom, ladies and gentlemen. There are wondrous masters upon this planetary body in physical form, and I will admit it, some of them are in this great nation here, and some are in our own beloved India. But I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you do not need, in many cases, to pursue them, for when the proper time comes, a great master can call you out. But the most important thing is to call forth the mastery from within your own God flame, for then this will assist your spiritual potential, and it will mean that you are far more apt to receive the attention of great masters, whether ascended or unascended. The power of Christ's victory can be obtained from the lives of the saints, who did not, in their passing from the screen of life, sacrifice their God identity, but are alive forevermore. Remember the words of the Christ revealed to John the Revelator. Remember the concept of the one whose hair was white as wool, and who spoke with the voice of many waters, and who stood among the candlesticks, and who said, "Behold, I am he who is alive forevermore." You are a part of that mighty God self, that power of the divine source, which was released through the power of Chananda in the retreats in India and came from the cave of light. This is the power of regeneration, which can transmute your spiritual bodies. I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you must understand that your physical form is constantly embraced by your spiritual body, and you must recognize then that you have the power resident within the God flame within your own heart to cut yourself free from the vibratory action around yourself, which is not the perfect manifestation of that spiritual self. Ladies and gentlemen, your physical bodies are intended to be spiritual. Have you thought upon this? Simply because they are dense expressions, because of human recalcitrance and density, does not mean that they are not wonderful instruments, and that they were not intended to be beautiful instruments of divine light. Your physical forms were intended to be translucent with cosmic light, and some of you have witnessed this on the faces of the saints, and you have occasionally met people who were in especially high spiritual vibratory action, whereby the light radiated through their face and countenance as from the sun. This quality, beloved ones, is in all. It is not exclusive to anyone, but is the God-bestowed blessing of all. One of the greatest errors which mankind have made, and which the students have made through the years, is the idea of worshiping personalities and not recognizing the divine person within themselves. I call, therefore, by the power of divine love, for the great God-selves of all who are here to come forth and stand forth in dazzling splendor from without your physical forms. I call for that great divine God-self to make itself manifest and take its dominion over your physical forms and make known to you your God identity, that you may find your freedom in that expression. You will never find your freedom in the expression of the human personality, for it constantly brings mankind into greater slavery and disobedience to the laws of life's perfection. But your divine presence is not like that. Your divine presence is the quality of mercy that is not strained, that droppeth to the earth as a gentle rain from heaven. I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it is not necessary for you to be fanatical about this. It is not necessary for you to become disturbed about it. It is simply necessary for you to relax and to forget your own outer identity and recognize the power of your presence to itself bring forth its own perfection within your world, if you will but let go of all outer human conditions, as the beloved Gabriel revealed at the close of the first-class session which was held here. Some of the students were able to sustain the action of that flame for some time and to hold it in continuous action within their forms. But I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you ought to strive to hold that ideal of perfection always. And if for a moment perchance it escape and evaporate, recognize the source of the great spring within is constantly bubbling up your own fresh God identity momentarily, and you need not be concerned because it seems to vanish for a moment from your vision. You but recognize that it is always with you, that it is the great God flame within your heart, and that it is the power and pressure of immortality which will exhort you to your own God ascension in the light in due course of time. You perhaps have an idea at this moment. I speak now only to some of you, and I am not speaking to all when I say this, for some of you do understand this principle, but I speak to some of you who have an idea that you are not worthy of receiving your ascension in the light. I tell you, if you find conditions in your world which make you to believe that you are not worthy, recognize your own responsibility to clean up those conditions. Recognize that you must do as a scrub woman would do when she finds a dirty floor. You must scrub your consciousness clean by the power of God's own flames of mercy and healing. You need not submit to the tremendously shrouded consciousness of those who abide, as it were, in the graveyards of life and do not recognize the power of immortality to change and to transfer them into a higher state. I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the ideas of imperfection that people have held are chains which they themselves and others have bound around about their physical form and their minds. It is up to you to call now for the snapping of those chains and the shattering of those concepts that you have held far too long. When you shall do this en masse, what do you think will happen to this planetary body when all of you begin to manifest your perfection and immortality? I ask you this. Remember, beloved ones, there were only 12 disciples connected with beloved Jesus during his Galilean embodiment. Remember also that he sent forth but a few, far less than 100, to mankind when he sent forth the 70. And yet, beloved ones, bear in mind the great impact of Christianity upon the world, which has been a power for good, although unfortunately frequently inhabited by evil men who used its cloaks to hide their imperfections and milk mankind of much of their energy. Regrettably, these conditions do occur, but I wish to call to your attention that the good that has been done has far outweighed all other conditions, and therefore this impact was made by the few upon the many. What think ye then, beloved ones, will occur when all of mankind in this room and in other rooms throughout the nations, hearing our charge and our radiance or reading our words, elect of their own conscious volition to pursue the spiritual path and do bring forth the great golden treasure house of the golden man of their Christ identity from within their heart? This change that will be wrought in your individual worlds will be transferred to the screen of life and will act as a great catalyst and a force to move all mankind by the lever of spiritual perfection into the immortality of us who have made the ascension. And you will be uniting yourselves while yet unascended with our energies and the energies of the angelic host. Mysteries will be revealed to you. You will also uncover spiritual power from within yourselves, and you will know even how to raise the dead. When this knowledge is transferred to you so that you can perform these miracles, you will also have imparted to you the wisdom that will tell you when to do it and when to withhold it. You will know and understand by Christ's discrimination and discretion every action of the great cosmic law which the moment may require, and the Holy Spirit in each moment shall confer upon you the wisdom that the great law intends and that every ascended master has. You are potential ascended masters, and you must shake from your consciousness the idea that you are not worthy to have these blessings conferred upon you. In the name of Almighty God, beloved ones, I ask you, how long will mankind continually hold a picture of imperfection in their world? How long will they think of themselves as long-suffering individuals who, of course, must mimic that which they behold upon the screen of life? Or perhaps someone might criticize them if they did not. I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it is not necessary to be afraid of human opinions, for these opinions do not last very long in any man's consciousness. For 70 at the present time seems to be the lot of many, and yet some do exceed it. Nevertheless, no one abides too long, and human opinions are not worthy to be taken into account insofar as the great spiritual law of life is concerned. But, beloved ones, when it comes to nobility and courtesy, I think you ought to be concerned with everyone you meet. For I must point out to you that many of the students throughout the world, on numerous occasions when they think we are not looking, seem to feel that they can treat their fellow men with a certain measure of contempt which they would not use were they addressing us. And this condition must cease in all of the student body, that you may manifest a greater degree of life's perfection and light's perfection. It is not necessary for you to pattern after the image of the world. It is not necessary for you to fashion yourselves after the measure of human identity. To those individuals who may be at this moment somewhat restless and are not familiar with the fact that I, an ascended being, and bringing forth a tremendous activity of light, let me ask you in a most courteous and gentle manner to contain yourselves, and I will assist you. For those who are here tonight are interested in what I am saying, and many of them have a greater understanding than you have presently obtained. I do not say this by measure of chastisement, but in the fullness of my love, and the love of the God self of your own identity. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to sweep this audience with the flame of their God identity, that they may, in feeling the sweep of that flame, recognize the meaning of true freedom, that you may feel in this great sweep of cosmic power, this onrush of perfection, what it means to be free indeed. To be free indeed. To have your physical forms no longer acting as a screen of impediment between the flow of the great cosmic light. To sit in hallowed space and feel the light rays from your God self flooding through you and washing from your being the dust of the road and the imperfections that have brought pain and sorrow to your being. Oh, my precious and beloved Chelas, you have pursued the great spiritual path for a long time. I will never leave thee or forsake thee, and I am aware of each decree, each gentle tone of your lips, and each gentle pressure of your hearts, which you utter in the sublime temple of your own being. We are grateful for the great unifying spirit of life that shall bring out of all the multitudes and the chaos of the appearance world a drama of such Christ perfection as shall make each day a holy day and each night a holy night. This concept must be written down deep within your hearts and minds. It must flow forth with the breaking of each dawn. And I refer to the dawn of consciousness. For, ladies and gentlemen, you need not now set your clocks for the sun time, but you may sleep as late as the law will allow. But remember, when the dawn of consciousness breaks, at that holy moment, imbue yourselves with a sense of a spiritual mission. Contemplate that for you the dawn of God's day has burst with a new freshness into vibrant being, and that you are entering the temple of life to render a service to the great master of life. And watch how the world will yield to you the scepter of your divine authority. The right of kings, the right of queens is now conferred to all, and the true spiritual democracy is given to those noble men and women who, not by reason of earthly title inherited from decrepit parents, but by reason of their own divine parents, acknowledge their spiritual title and the title of their God identity, and are unafraid, fearless, dauntless, courageous men and women. Of these and of this substance shall we fashion a new world, and a world that shall abide forever. I close with the gentle remembrance of these words, that the meek shall inherit the earth. I thank you. I bless all who are aware of my presence in the universe, and all who are aware of their great divine self. And I bid you a blessed good evening this holy night. Immortal peace be upon thy soul. O children of the Most High God, I am come to remind you of that wondrous power of spiritual levitation that abides within your waking and sleeping consciousness, but is the power that exalts the God within your form and makes you aware that all life is intended to manifest the fullness of cosmic happiness, and that all human discord ought to cease, and the purity of your own God presence to manifest upon the screen of life. The victory of the ascension ought to manifest to all life upon the planetary body, and the great sun of compassion to bring illumination to every waiting heart. The multitudes of mankind at the present hour are a-hungered for spiritual bread. I am come that I might give to you this night a spirit of gentle communion with your own divine self. I come to remind you that in the God flame ablaze within your heart is the complete mastery of every outer condition, and the firm dominion which the great law requires be exerted against the pressure of outer experience, to give to the students the understanding that when they invoke the power of their own mighty I Am God presence into action, that the power of that presence is perfection in manifestation, and is the termination of all human discord and vanity. Therefore there is no longer found necessary in the individual's consciousness appeals to human vanity, but a complete understanding that by purity of heart each life stream is enabled to see the face of their own divine presence, and in the consolation derived from gazing upon the face of immortality, to gather and garner from the great spiritual storehouse on high enough spiritual determination that they will cut themselves free from every outer action which has hindered them from manifesting the cosmic advantage of their own victory in the light over discordant outer conditions. Beloved ones, when your hearts are placed upon your divine self, there is an action of the great cosmic light manifesting, whereby discordant conditions evaporate before the piercing gleams of spirituality coming from within the Grail presence within your sacred beating hearts. The golden Christ image of immortality, an exact replica of the Holy Christ self, is brought from a minute manifestation to a more glorious fullness, filling the form of the immature spiritual aspirant, and bringing to that one's consciousness the fullness of the full-grown Christ man-child in manifestation. In this purity, there is then the fulfillment of the great cosmic law of the circle, whereby that specific ray of authority which went forth in the beginning and was clothed with immortal intelligence and sent forth into substance is enabled to obtain its victory and dominion over outer conditions which have held mankind barred far too long from the glories and blessings of a heavenly experience. The longings within the hearts of men are manifest in the beauty of song, and I would point out that the poignant feelings which filled your hearts during the singing of these past renditions stems from the great cosmic longing within your own beings to find a surcease from mortal distress in the purity and perfection of your own divine God-self. These are not mere words, but they are charged cups of spiritual light substance designed by the Most High God to flood forth into human consciousness the compassionate advantage, I repeat, of your own divine authority. You have far too long, O children of men, yielded to the impulses directed against you by those mortal individuals who have not recognized their own divine God presence as the authority in their world, but have scoffed, have rebuked divine authority, and closed the gates of conscience to that authority which desired to exert its influences so benignly and gently upon mankind, but were turned aside and diverted into other pathways to the hurt of the possessor of a questionable freedom which has not brought peace and sanity to this blessed planetary body. I am come this night then to flood forth an action from the great cave of light in India, an action of spiritual fire into the atmosphere of this room to saturate and permeate your physical bodies and minds with the compassionate understanding of the law and the feeling of pure divine love, which knows that by asserting spiritual power in your world, you are not losing your life, except that specific carnal portion thereof which has not given you the infinite blessings of spiritual freedom, and you are obtaining in its place unquestioned virtue which will yield to you fruit 1,000-fold of eternal and immortal blessedness and cosmic benefit. Beloved ones, I desire to create for you now a scene in the Andes Mountains in South America. I would point out a small thatched roof hut where there are no conveniences such as those to which you are accustomed, and where a tiny child is walking in the sun. I would point out that he does not wear upon his feet shoes or have the benefit of the warm and closely knit clothing such as you wear, but this child is pressing his feet to the heart of the earth and drinking in the blessedness of the sun without the cares and oppressions of the present day more illumined civilization of mankind. I am only creating this scene before your mind's eye in order to call to your attention that in the basic sweet simplicity of life which inspired the pioneer people of America and other parts of the world, there is a wonder of closeness to nature which in the present day civilization with all of its glitter and unrealities does not fill the souls of men with satisfaction, and therefore they are a-hungered. I am come, however, not to clothe you with the identity of this blessed youth, but to clothe you with the immortal destiny of a Christ in action, one to whom men may appeal in their distresses and turmoils and receive a healing touch. I am come to remind you of your God destiny, which can be secured by placing your attention upon the very heart of your mighty I Am presence and bringing about the security of cosmic fulfillment in your world today. The lures of the present day strata of society will never supply mankind with the glory to which their souls were accustomed before they were encased in mortal form, and therefore present day dissatisfactions remind mankind to seek in their glorious attunement with their God-self the answer to every human problem and the fulfillment of their own individual destiny. The blessed planets of this system of worlds and the great cosmic worlds that stretch in infinite number across the expansive skies are yours for the asking. You recall the words of the Christ, "In my Father's house are many mansions. Were it not so, I would have told you, but I go to prepare a place that where I am, there may ye be also." In the fullness of your own being, your own divine, mighty God-self, is every requirement of this hour and every hour to come. Yield not then to those sinister impulses which would spew out upon the world of form the ideas of a negative action which in no way is compatible with the holy will of God. I would like to sound a note of cosmic warning to the student body concerning those vicious individuals, whether ignorantly or purposefully, declare to mankind any action whatsoever which tends to threaten the earth or to bring about human discord upon mankind. I would call to your attention that wherever you place your attention, you bring about a manifestation of that which you place your attention upon. If you place your attention upon human discord, the great cosmic law cannot avoid bringing about fulfillment, and therefore mankind, through dwelling upon all of the wrongs of the world and the evils of the world, attract those conditions into their own world, instead of receiving from on high the blessings of Christ's identification and identification with the light. Beloved ones, I ask you now to close your physical eyes and to visualize with me a great cosmic sun of pure white splendor. As you feel the essence of this spiritual sun, a mighty cosmic disk of spiritual light descending into the atmosphere of the planetary body, be aware that this is the light from whence you came, and that this light is not only intelligent, but it is compassionate, and it is a full charge of that spiritual momentum which exists in the cave of light and is the purity of your own God presence. In the heart of this gentle radiation, for it is a gentle radiation until you enter more completely into it, you will find a blessing which words alone can never bestow. And yet I am speaking words to you to cheer your hearts and to give you an understanding that you did not come forth into this world of form in order to enter into a state of vacuum or void. As you therefore contemplate this blessed spiritual sun before your vision, recognize the possibility that you can enter into and merge with this light, for you are at the present moment a lesser quantity of the great light of God. And as a drop of water or a dewdrop may return to the shining sea or to the heart of a pink rose, so you may return to the gentle heart of God and find in the saturation of His spiritual blessing a greater spiritual turbulence which will cut you free by its cosmic action from the action of human discord and replace that discord by the glorious manifestation of the radiance of your God-self. Enter now then into the heart of this spiritual sun. First of all, I ask you that you forget your physical bodies, for I tell you, beloved ones, you are not intended to be permanently identified with these physical bodies. You are intended to be eternally identified with the never-failing light of God. Enter therefore into this beauteous spiritual sun of cosmic light, and as you forget your physical form, feel yourself moving into the heart of this great sun of light. Feel the great currents from out this great light pass across your nervous system and brains and consciousness and enter into your very being. Abide there and tarry in gentle communion with your divine self for a period, for I would also provide an interlude during which the students who are here and whomsoever will, desiring to express the fullness of their own divine source, may enter not in a state of vacuum, but in a state of conscious awareness of their own being into this blissful state. Therefore, I shall ask that during this interlude you once again listen to this music which preceded the first portion of my address. I shall rest during this portion to prepare to continue this address after you have communed with your own divine source in a proper manner and in accordance with your own God plan. Enter into the fullness of the light and peace of your own divinity, remembering that I am the peace-commanding presence of life, remembering that you are the fullness of that which you place your attention upon this very moment, and you need not wait for a manifestation of that perfection if you will but open your consciousness to it and keep your attention posited upon it. I thank you, and I abide for this interlude with you in the center of the light. Abiding in the center of infinite peace, your contact with a greater light makes you aware you are a being of light. You are not mortal, misqualified energy, but you are the fullness of the spiritual desire of God. You are the children of His heart. You are the children also of earthly experience. These must be laid aside as toys. And you must enter into cosmic and heavenly experiences. The world must be cleared of those life streams who have occupied the planetary body too long, who are intended to graduate and pass to higher octaves of light and make way for the incoming of the seventh root race. The hour is at hand when greater knowledge than has ever before manifested upon this planet shall come forth. Mankind in their scientific achievements have but touched upon the glories which are prevalent in manifestation upon other planetary systems of worlds, who are highly evolved and are therefore able to manifest a greater degree of spiritual glory as well as that temporal glory which manifests here at the present hour. Ladies and gentlemen, as you enter into the heart of your own divine self, try to envision some of the wonders that shall be yet revealed to this planetary body. I would like to tell you of one specific manifestation which no doubt will be touched upon within the near future, and this pertains to the fusing together of steel and silica, the formation of glass which is as strong as steel and which is light in weight and can be used for the construction of various types of craft, for the movement of mankind above the planetary body and upon the land as well as underneath the sea. I would like to point out that this material will be translucent and able therefore to be colored and controlled by various colored lights from within the specific vessels which mankind will construct for the movement of people and goods across the face of the earth. These are but physical wonders that will come to pass, but the spiritual wonders of the age are the greatest gifts and treasures which mankind can ever expect to inherit. I hope, therefore, that mankind will no longer spend their time in the mere seeking out of vain accomplishments, but that they will seek rather to pursue the fullness of spiritual achievement, and in this glory the planet shall profit without limit, and the peace from on high shall descend and flood the hearts of men with such glory as has never before manifested upon this blessed earth. As I take my leave of you now, I would like to point out that much of the instruction which I intended to release to you this night is not being released for a specific reason, for I have chosen rather to release a quality of spiritual energy into the atmosphere for your upliftment and benefit. But I am certain that in the coming addresses of beloved Saint Germain and the great silent watcher, you shall find the fullness of that purpose for which I have stepped forth this night to bring to you some touch of heaven in contradiction to all that is of the earth earthy, that you yourselves this present hour may make a firm determination before the heart of your own divine self to change all conditions in your own life which are unwarranted and are not beneficial to the release of a feeling of peace and happiness into your own world. Ladies and gentlemen, children of the great cosmic light, children of the sun, blessed ones, and I salute you all, even those who know not the great glory that lies within them. Keep in tune with your God self, and you will find a power far greater than can be released from any one of mankind, a power that is the power of your Christ victory, world without end. I thank you